for me, these are all like small building blocks, like Lego. And what you have to do is you have to engineer them together in the right order. But in order to engineer it correctly, you have to understand the whole process first in order to put the right blocks in the right timeline. Imagine like a super long timeline, red timeline. Here's a prospect, never saw you, never knew you. Here is a prospect buying from you. What he has to see at what point, what he has to hear, what he has to read, what he has to feel. And this is what we want to engineer. And this is the whole customer journey. But everything starts with the KFC, the key first click. This is the oscillator because it sets the perception and the following narrative. And the stronger the KFC is, the easier you have it later on with all the other points. Because in the end, it's also branding. It buys you mind share, mental availability. Mental availability is basically that people remember your brand. And your brand is nothing else what people feel after hearing the name of your brand. That's just the label, the abstract for it. Your brand is the abstract for it. The truth is that in high-ticket lead gen, we have to engineer the right psychological journey that mirrors their decision process. We need to basically engineer a new reality. Hence why I call it reality engineering, where people can see themselves winning. But it's important to understand the customer journey. That's the most important part here. And why it's also important, let's go straight to the beginning, is because of this. So we know where's the first click, where we deploy an opt-in, what re-engagement campaigns we do, where do we do the retargeting, the follow-up, and re-opt-in. So we will quickly showcase the complete setup blurred because a lot of people paid a lot of money for that, and it wouldn't be fair like to showcase this. It takes a little bit hands-on approach to learn this whole concept, but this is basically how it looks, how massive it is in real. And what you just see is like basically like the whole customer journey, which I just described. And this is what you want to do in your ad setup in Meta and Google, wherever you want. You want to combine it and you see then basically where what needs to happen in order like to build the ultimate customer journey, starting with a KFC and then how you stack multiple KFCs together. For example, here for Pressmaster, this was one series where every single one was treated as a KFC. And this we also treated as a KFC, and this also as a KFC. In the end, we had like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 15 KFC ads. And we are stacking them together because we understand the customer journey. And we build this massive amount of mindshare, this massive amount of branding. And people, what they will abstract is basically the key message from this, the look from this. They will abstract this, they will abstract this. And this is what creates like the context map in the brain of people who are interested of Pressmaster, of what they associate and what they feel. And this builds a lot of more mind share than all the other content tools that have maybe just the typical UGC or normal creator ads. Yeah? And the same thing here, because this obviously stands more out. It's easier like to stand out. It's longer. That means it has a potential to bore people because nowadays we don't have a high attention span. But on the other hand, we can binge watch also Netflix series for hours. So why is that? Long content doesn't mean it's not getting watched. Long content wrong assembled is not being watched. But if it's interesting, if it has a storyline that correlates with your audience target group, then people will watch it. And this is what it's all about, because like 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, 5 minutes, that's like around 20 minutes just in ads that people are watching in the target group. That means 20 minutes they're spending over a time span of 4 months of just ads. And then from this ads, they get hooked. Behind it, there are offers, so which they also spend time with. And there's a correlation. You want to increase the watch time because the more watch time you have, the more likely it is that a person will buy from you. Yeah, it takes an average like between 4 to 7 hours before a cold prospect becomes a client or a user, because they need to consume content to build this trust. So this is, like I said, the oscillator for that. The next thing is basically distribution across the target audience through proper setup. We're also showcasing how this looks in detail, and then dominate the newsfeed. And one very important part is we want to create maximum efficiency through cutting the fat. Basically everything that's obsolete, everything that doesn't add up, everything that creates more complexity, we want to remove, where we have a high certainty of what is not working, from target groups, demographics, etc. This is cut the fat. And as you can see in the example, there's a clear roadmap guideline how to achieve this. So let's move to our goal, what we achieve. We become a category winner. This is always the case. And like I said before, we want to get and maximize attention from potential customers. The more time a potential customer spends with your brand, provided he's in the right target audience, the greater is the likelihood, we dramatically increase it, that he will become a customer with you. This is our goal here. In order to become a category winner, you must design your own category to be perceived as the number one option. You have to build a mental construct of how your target audience perceives you, what they remember of you. And this makes you incomparable and unmistakable, the number one option. And all other participants try to copy you without understanding what you're actually doing. So this is very important, like to create your own category, because if you don't do it, you're playing in a category somebody else developed and you're playing by his rules. You cannot win by his rules. You have to create your own rules in order to win the game. And in order to do that, this means that the information about your product, your service, must clearly address the pain point, because only then do you trigger an emotion that actually labels your brand, that burns it in the brain. And then over time, it gets abstracted, narrowed down to an emotion. Every time someone sees or hears your logo, your name, or your face, they can recall that. But if you have nothing, if you're like too polished, if you want to sound like the number one, people will remember the number one and not you. If you sound like everyone else, if you use ChatGPT for this, like you get all the AI linguistic, and therefore you sound like everybody else's intern. So don't do it. But in order to engrave yourself, like burn yourself in, you must move from digital availability to mental availability, and this comes through a lot of watch time. And if you're mental available, if you have mind share, your brand, your face becomes abstract, what people remember. So digital availability leads to high watch time, resonant copy, direct brain impact, mental availability becoming an abstract that is easily recallable, and therefore category ownership, unmatched and unmistakable. So when I say toothpaste, you think what? Colgate? When I say fast food, McDonald's or Burger King, number 3 or 4, we don't even remember. We don't recall. There's only spot for 1 and 2 in the category. And your category should be your brand.